Maximize your yields while spreading out your workload with the earliest maturing winter cereal. Visit kws.com/CA to see how our hybrid rye varieties can work for you. High yields, high quality, high value for your farm. KWS, seeding the future since 1856.
You're listening to The Successors with Paige Warner on RealAgriculture.com.
Tuning into this episode of the Successors podcast. I am your host, Paige Warner. I am super excited for today's guest, so let's jump right into it. And joining me now is Bevin Hamilton with Lakeland College out of Vermilion, Alberta. Bevin, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, doing well. So I'm happy to have you on here with me today. Looking forward to our chat.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, so if you want to start, can you tell the audience just a little bit about yourself, kind of where you're from, and briefly what you do?
So originally I'm from Lakeland, Saskatchewan, which is just around Elrose or Kyle. And there I grew up on a mixed farm, cow, calf, and grain operation. Grew up on the farm, moved to Saskatoon to go to the University of Saskatchewan, and from there I've maintained a job in the animal science industry in many different ways. But yeah, I have a passion for animal science, and it's worked out for me.
Awesome. So what did you take when you went to the university then?
So I went to the university like most animal science students, wanting to be a veterinarian, and after the first 2 years of the classes that are challenging, I realized that wasn't going to be a dream of mine,
Right.
that I was going to be successful in. So when I looked at what I wanted for my career, I admired our veterinarian from home in the way that he talked to us kids and talked to Dad, and I realized that it was the working with farmers and producers that I wanted to do, not necessarily get up at 3 a.m. to go save a dying cow. And so we when I realized that, I stuck with animal science, but then I minored in rangeland ecology just to give me a breadth of knowledge. I did one summer job with the government, and when you really look at the animal science industry in Saskatchewan, there's the odd feed sales rep position. And then growing up, there were, the specialists that work for the government. And so in our area, it was John Ippolito, and I, looked up to him, and he was kind of a well-known name. And so I thought if I could get a government job or set myself up, they problem solve all day, they work with producers. And so when I went to the university and then realized veterinarian wasn't the route I was going to go, I tried to give myself enough knowledge to become employable no matter where I was at and try to stay close to home. That was, really how I set that up.
Okay. So what was your first job then after university?
Yeah, so through university, I worked for the lands branch in Tisdale, through the Saskatchewan government. And then between third and fourth year, I worked for Western Beef Development Center at Lanigan, which was awesome. I got to work with Bart Lardner, and so it helped me realize what I wanted to do when I left. So I applied to a couple of jobs, and I applied to what was at the time Viterra Feed Products, and I got hired on for them in Olds. While working there, they turned into High Pro Feeds, and since I've left, they're now Trow Nutrition. So I was the beef sales rep, and my territory was basically both borders of Alberta and then the number one highway at Calgary and up to Ponoka. So I traveled around. I had a great connection with my customers, and I worked there for about 4.5, 5 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then after that,
I took a brief stint as the farm manager at Olds College, which was also great. I got to work with students and faculty. And in that job, I met Jeff Brown, who was in my role at Lakeland College at the time at Farm Fair. He had students there, and Olds College had cows stalled beside Lakeland College. And so I met Jeff, And then I met Josie one day at the college, and when Jeff decided to move up in roles at the college, they reached out and I interviewed for the position. And never in my life did I think I would become a instructor at Lakeland College. But so I joke I was moving up here to try it for a year, and I haven't quit. So it's been 8 years. My role's changed a bit, but I'm enjoying it.
That's awesome. Yeah, so it's kind of one of those things where it's like the stars just aligned. And so when you were doing your university, did you ever picture yourself as being like a professor at Lakeland?
Not not at all. When I look at mentors in my um time at college, like if I look at my path, I started out wanting to be a veterinarian. I realized that I needed to pivot. Um, and there were instructors and lab techs at the university that I looked up to, and I was like, that would be a cool job one day, but I don't want to get my PhD and I don't want to do this. And
Right.
and so, like it was something I briefly thought, well, that would be really cool. I could, Holland was our lab tech, and he was amazing with us students, and so it was like, oh, that seems like a cool job, and never thought anything more of it. So no, not in any way, shape, or form did I think I was going to be an instructor or a teacher when I grew up.
Yeah, that's cool. It's crazy. Yeah, like it's crazy how the path can change from when you first started, like university or college, and like I mean for anyone too, and then to where they end up. Like,
Well, and not only that, but the people that I have worked directly with more than once in my career is in any capacity, whether it's, my first boss comes to Lakeland College to give guest lectures. Um, People I worked with at Olds College, my first boss at Olds College, and one of the research techs have worked or are working at Lakeland College right now. Like the overlap and the size of our industry. I mean, I tell the students all the time, you not necessarily be careful, but you can't leave one job and slam the door on your way out because you're going to run into those humans later. And
yeah.
whether you like it or want to or not, they don't go away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the
So,
industry is so small
which
and
is
so big at the same time.
which is amazing, and there's lots of opportunity, and generally it's a really cool group, but you don't yeah, you have to manage that appropriately.
Yeah, for sure. So you started at Lakeland. That was
In
2016
2016.
because you were my instructor. That was my
Were
first
you
year.
my first
Yeah,
set of first years?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've grown a bit since then.
Same.
um so yeah, I started in 2016. Um, I, graduated that first set of second years, and then you guys were my first full class to go through. At that time, I have always, in the 8 years that I've been there, been the commercial beef student managed farm advisor. And some of my courses have changed. Like I taught you guys anatomy. I now only teach the beef production classes and intro to animal science. So,
Okay.
uh, and since starting, I teach mostly animal science students, but I have branched out and I'm teaching in ag biz and crop tech as well in their sales and marketing courses. So it's the cool part about my job is as I've needed it or wanted it or needed a new challenge, it has been able to evolve and provide that without me having to change companies or roles. And so, not one year that I've been at the college has been the exact same as the year before, which is, sometimes frustrating and sometimes really cool because it gives you, it just keeps it relevant and new and gives me something to focus on.
Yeah. So with like all your teaching, you're also now the head of animal science technology program, right?
Yeah, so I think that was, give or take a year or two. I think 4 years ago, 5 years ago, Jeff Brown had gone to another new role, and I took over the animal science department. as the program head. And so when we did that, when you were going to school, you got to pick your electives of what production stream you wanted to be in. So you took mostly beef production courses. Other students could take dairy, and we had an equine program that was a 1-year certificate. And the year that I took over program head, the program was undergoing major changes in making 4 majors. So we now offer beef, a dairy, an equine, which we rolled into the 2-year programming, and a livestock stream. And those are all majors that they can actually get on their parchment. So if you come to Lakeland College for beef or for dairy or equine and livestock, that is what is on your diploma when you leave. So it's not just animal science, it's a little more streamlined than that.
So I feel like with the title, like being the head of it, that would keep you fairly busy. Like what does that entail? Like what is
meetings,
your day-to-day meetings?
No, I mean, essentially, the program head position doesn't mean I'm any one of my peers' bosses. We get direction from the dean and the chair to the program heads. And so if we're making those changes, it's my job to set up meetings with my team, run the meeting so that we can have the hard discussions and come up with a new plan or a strategy, fulfill that strategy, and work as a team. So it's making sure that the tasks get done with the people that need to be involved, and then it leads to, student issues or concerns coming to my office, making sure that we're having industry connection in the right ways so that we can grow our program and maintain like that. Lakeland College is known for its hands-on learning, and you know that from your time there. There was labs in almost every, in as many classes as we could put a lab, there was a lab to help with that hands-on portion. But the other thing that I think we do really well, which is exhausting at the same time, is, bringing industry in to talk to the students and having that industry connection, leading to, maybe it's funding for a new riding arena or, donations, but it's also making sure that we're staying relevant and that the students are getting messaging from industry that supports what we're teaching in the classroom. Because if I teach for the next 25 years, I can still be teaching about what I learned in 2010 in university. But if I can connect industry, that's really cool.
Yeah. Well, and I think it gives it like another perspective too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it makes it real world.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really cool. So, just stepping back here a bit, you had talked about the student managed farm. Can you touch on that a little bit, just in case listeners don't know what that is?
For anyone that doesn't understand what Lakeland College's student managed farm piece is, it started 34 years ago with the crop tech side. The livestock side was, I think, in 2012, give or take a year, not quoting me on that date, but in and around the early 2000s, they moved it into the animal science side as well. And what it is 2 of their courses in second year, so 8-month-long course, is where students get to pick a stream, whether it's crop tech, working with the fields, or in the livestock side, we have 3 beef herds, a purebred, a commercial beef, an extensively managed commercial beef herd as well. So those 3, now a bison unit that we have a generous donation of here 4 years ago, dairy, and 2 equine programs. And so generally on the livestock side, there's no more than 20 students on a team or a unit. So if the purebred team has 21, we have to, shuffle it out so that it's a manageable size. All of the students on each team get the budget for their unit, and they make all of the decisions. So they are they tell us, they go through the homework of figuring out what the cows need to eat for nutrition, reproduction, range and forage, finance. They have to run the budget and manage the budget, calling decisions. And so everyone's like, oh, you let 18 and 19-year-old students make all those decisions. And I said, yes, but they have to do more homework than any producer generally does. So, you went through it in the purebred unit. Like, we didn't just say, here's the cows, let's see what happens in 8 months. I mean, you were
Yeah.
held accountable, had to come and, if you were making a major decision, you had to show us how it was going to affect the budget and how it would affect the budgets in 5 years from now. And so it's a really cool experience. And I say it that students are getting an experience that, I mean, as well as I do, my parents are still on the farm. So I'm closer to 40 than I would like to admit. And if I was at home on the farm, I wouldn't be making the major decisions that these students are making in SMF. So when we look at student managed farm, it's allowing them to see what that running that operation is. Because I think, students come and they're like, well, we went to agribition every year, but they have no idea that it cost X, Y, and Z to take 6 cows to agribition for the week. And so, it's, they want to go to all the shows. And then when you really make them sit down and go, okay, where's the return on investment for going to these shows? And here's what it costs you to go. They're like, oh, it's,
wow.
It puts it in real life. And so, I oftentimes, not every year, but sometimes there's an inconvenience or not necessarily a mistake, but like take a look at the last 3 years of drought. The drought helped us in our learning because we had a strong focus on feed and how much straw can we put in the ration. And so we were working through that with students, and I can't create that in the classroom in a meaningful way. I mean, I can do a case study, but to actually have them in the moment doing those, or, commercial beef this last year, we're going to turn bulls out and one came up lame. So the students weren't there. So farm team and faculty made a decision, put a different bull out. But this year they had to buy 2 bulls with the budget to buy 1. So they had to figure out where else, you don't just get to go to the banker and ask for another $8,000 to buy a bull. So sometimes those learning opportunities come in really interesting ways, but it's as real life as we can. And when we're weaning and the animals get out in the middle of the night, and I'm calling students and getting out to come help put them back in, it's what's going to happen when you go home. And so it's the best and worst part of my job. Because it's really cool to see the light bulb moments and go through the process, but it's an 8-month group project with 20 people. So it's getting consensus in meetings, and yes, everyone has there's 18 ways to do this job, and half the team is off put because we didn't choose the way that they were leaning, and so once when students are going through it, they're a bit frustrated sometimes, but once they get through it and they come back, the graduates are always like, I wouldn't do it any other way. Like it was, I couldn't see it when we were going through it, what it was doing for me once I left Lakeland College.
Yeah. Yeah, it's when you're in the moment, you're frustrated at your classmates or whatever, and then after the fact, it's like, wow, like that actually was awesome.
And we're really working on the, whether you call them soft skills or employability skills, we're hiding those in there. So, I mean, we taught you how to work with other people when you got to industry without you realizing that that's what we were doing. Or I shouldn't say that. Most students don't understand that, it's those communication skills and teamwork skills that we're really teaching while using animals and those management decisions to get it done. So it's a cool process.
It really is. And it's cool to be a part of it too.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
So, and then at the end of the year, there's the roundup, right?
So within the livestock side, we have the roundup sale, previously known as Beef Day when it was only beef animals in it. But so that sale is planned and managed by the student managed farm committees. So selling in that sale are purebred bulls and heifers, commercial heifers. The equine program trains geldings and raises foals for that sale. And so it's really in the end of March. It's an opportunity for those students to showcase what they've been raising and doing, but it's also an opportunity for them to learn marketing in a meaningful way, getting producers to the sale. We've introduced DLMS throughout the years. I don't think you guys didn't sell on DLMS. So it was, it was expanding our reach, and it's once again, it shows the students what it costs to run that sale,
Yeah.
and it really puts them in a real life situation of, the nerves on the morning of the roundup sale are as real as they get. And those students are like, oh my God, what if we don't sell as well as last year? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But they get through it, and it's been really successful. So one, like, our us instructors say that we're the rails to keep them between the lanes and the highway. We won't let them go in the ditch, and so it's supporting them through that sale, but allowing them to feel that pressure and emotion, but in a supportive and learning friendly way.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And like on the SMF teams, like there's still like your general manager, right? Like those
Yeah.
positions, which
So
then
there's a
they
student
have
general manager,
meetings.
and then there's a whole bunch of committees. So
Yeah.
every student has some sort of role. Some have committee meetings, and some they feel are more important than others. But at the end of the day, if one of the puzzle pieces isn't working on their part, it doesn't work. So
Hmm.
yeah, there's a committee to put on the roundup sale, and so all communication goes through there, and all teams that are involved in the sale have that, and yeah, it's a pretty cool opportunity.
Yeah. No, that's good. And then like I know you used to do the judging team. Do you still do the judging team?
I do.
Yeah, so
The other thing, yeah, so there's a social side of Lakeland College, but there's a ton of clubs. So for students coming to Lakeland College, we have Stockman's Club. There's a rock climbing club. Um, judging tractor clubs. So there's, some years we've had a video game club. So there's a ton of clubs within agriculture, the agriculture program, or outside of. And so the one that I run is the judging club. So we actively take students every year to the national competition at Agribition. We host our own competition in March, and we try to attend at least one other competition, be it U of A, U of S, University of Guelph. We've gone to Guelph. This past year, the team decided to take a learning opportunity and go down to Fort Worth, Texas
nice.
for 4 or 5 days. And so it's a way to give back to 4-H because we provide learning opportunities in early February through some online learning series through to 4-H members, and then hosting them in the middle of March at our Little Royal event, kicking that off on the Friday, and then a rodeo and a cattle show for Stockman's. And so all the clubs are really involved in that Little Royal weekend. And so my role is to coach the judging students
Okay.
and
And
help them put
so
on that event.
yeah, so like when you were in U of S, like going to U of S, did you compete on the judging team there?
Yeah, so it really started in 4-H. I was, I loved the we have two different types of judging. So what we're talking about is the four species judging. There's also show ring judging or team judging now that's evolved. And so I was always involved with the four or five species judging. I went to university or to Agribition, qualified through the Saskatchewan 4-H program, and then through university there was a good contingent of us that were going there at the time. And the difference between what I do at Lakeland College and the U of S was we had to have a student committee at U of S and line up all of the learners and the fundraising, and there was no faculty support. But we had a really cool club at the time, and we traveled to. I remember going to the U of M judging competition at the end of March, and kind of like Little Royal and we came to Lakeland College Little Royal, and so you'd go and you just made a bigger network of humans because every time you went to a new college, you had the opportunity to meet people, and the difference between high school and college was people were wanting to meet people.
Right.
And so it was really cool. There's still people that I talk to are, you know, I'm getting married this summer, and my wedding photographer was someone I met through judging at Lakeland College, though I was going to the U of S. So
Nice.
it's yeah, like I said, it's a small world, but those connections don't go away.
Yeah. And I feel like how you said the difference between high school and college, you want to meet people, and it's also people in agriculture.
it's people that share the same interests. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes we get caught up, I'm sure it's the same for urban residents, although I wasn't one of those, but they get to go to a high school with 300 people. So I think you can find some of your own people. The difference is for both urban and rural people is when you get out of your town and go to a spot like the U of S that has people that are interested in the same things as you, you're like, oh, maybe my interests weren't that weird, or these are my people. and
Yeah.
and I remember that feeling growing up and going to university of, I found a group of humans that I connected with, and I'm still friends with today. And it really is, it's finding those people that share that passion for agriculture, or the part of agriculture that you find your passion in. And it's really cool to find.
Yeah. Well, and I think like even like myself coming to Lakeland, like I have a better group of friends and like keep in contact with them to this day, like more than high school friends.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like that drift, but then it's also they have the same interests and
and
it's
and they're everywhere. That's the other thing you
yeah.
find is, when I go to Agribition, there are people that I only see at Agribition. So there is 12 months in between those visits. Um, and we catch up like we don't live three provinces apart, and
Hmm.
no time has passed. And it's just really cool to find those people.
Yeah. And I think the funny thing about Agribition is it's like you reach out. Like I'll message one of my buddies. I'll be like, "Hey, are you going to Agribition this year? Like, will I get to see you, or do we have
What
to wait
days are you
another
going?
year?" Yeah. Where are you staying? When are you going? Like,
Yeah.
and you try like
Yeah.
plan it to
Oh yeah.
go. Um, so yeah, going off that, so I saw on social media that you were in Eldoret with the college. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, so I've been working on a project in Kenya. It's funded by CICAN and MasterCard Foundation. And so there's three colleges in Canada, Lakeland College, BCIT, and College of the Rockies. And so with those three colleges, we're working with four colleges in Kenya. Mine is in Eldoret. I'm only working with one of the colleges. And at that college, we are working, or my role is to help them create an ag mechanics course and a um, feed formulation course. And what they call a course is a program over here. So it would be the equivalent to animal science.
Okay.
And so the feed formulation course would be an equivalent to a feed mill worker or formulator within a feed mill in Canada. And so when we started 3 years ago, their instruction in Kenya in Eldoret was very much speak at the start front of the classroom and take notes and do exercises and go out and learn it on your own. And so Kenya is really pushing for competency-based learning. So they've reached out to Canadian colleges because we do work on that hands-on competency base. So that's, including lab work and getting them hands-on learning. And so it's been a really cool opportunity for me. I started 3 years ago, just at the tail end of COVID. So we were doing a lot of teams online, and then I've had the opportunity to go there 3 times,
Nice.
and it's been life-changing to see the difference in culture, to go to a developing or third world country and see the differences, and realize what struggles they have as far as, technology, corruption, government, all of the moving pieces that are, you know, they're trying hard and they want to grow and do better, but they're being held back by these things. So it's been really cool, a really cool opportunity. I wrap that up here in September, and as of right now, it looks like we will have something to present to the government. So they should be able to roll out the feed formulation course, and it's been a really cool opportunity once again to meet humans that, without taking this opportunity and saying yes to, I would have never had the opportunity to do. So, you go there with your assumptions and you ask questions and you learn about their lifestyle, and see how you can, you're not going over there to tell them what to teach, because feeding a cow here or the ingredients there are so much different.
Yeah.
But it's, okay, if you look at this and include this in lab, how can we make this more hands-on? And so it's been a really cool opportunity to meet both those members from the two other Canadian colleges, but also those people from Kenya. And now that I've been over there 3 times, this last time it was like, catching up with staff members at Lakeland College. We just, jumped right into meetings, and it's a really fun week when we go over and we have really good conversations, and we can see an end goal and that we're all working towards. So it's been a really cool opportunity.
I feel like that'd be really rewarding too, like to see it done.
It has, and to see, like, to understand the impact and see the passion that they have to make it happen, and and then there's been some changes in the expectations from government or governing bodies, and to see them have to pivot and find a different way to get it done, and to see them work through it has been really cool, and providing support in that has been a cool opportunity. And like I said, when I talked about my role changing at the college, like in every role that I've been in, it gets to a point where you're like, I'm ready for something new. And the cool part about the Alta project was it was allowed me to do something new while maintaining what I was doing and I still enjoy doing.
Right.
But it was a different challenge. And so it's added that layer on there. So
yeah, like you wouldn't have to change.
No.
You just kind of leave for a week and then
Yeah.
you're doing something else and then come back and carry on.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So to wrap up, kind of a fun question, I guess. So what's your favorite part about like being an instructor, program head, like kind of everything at like being at Lakeland College?
I think it's the same thing if you were to ask me about the ag industry. It's the people. I mean,
Yep.
I get to interact with students for 2 years, and I think every instructor tries to make a difference, and so it's trying to connect with students and make a difference, but it's really about that relationship with people. I learn as much from students. I mean, I reach out to past students for advice or content updates. And so it's become, you go from a mentor to a mentee-mentee relationship, and it's, I get to expand my knowledge. And so I'm doing my MBA through University of Guelph in sustainable commerce, kind of in a sustainable, so it's an agriculture program, but the MBA is through Guelph. And so I wrap that up a year from now as well. And so when I was in Guelph this last year in May, I had to go for my residency. I've called a past student and I got to tour, his feed area with just outside of Guelph in Arthur, Ontario. We went to some feedlots in Ontario that are all undercover. So it's very different than a Saskatchewan or an Alberta feedlot.
Right.
And so just to, have that expanded network and maintain those relationships and have that support within the industry has been really cool. And whether that's coming from customers I used to sell feed for or the students at Lakeland College, I mean, it's been really cool. It's, you go to it's an event like Agribition and you're just running into people and catching up, and it's everyone roots for everyone's success. And I think that's the really cool part about my job at the college or in industry is the supportive nature and collaborative attitude of our industry is really cool and hard to beat.
Yeah, well, that's really well put. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Bevin, for kicking off your holidays and having a chat with me. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate catching up.
And thanks to everyone for tuning in to this episode of the Successors podcast. If you have any questions, guest or topic suggestions, you can reach out to me at Holmquist at RealAgriculture.com, or you can find me on Twitter at Paige Holmquist.